Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lab 12. This week, there's only one sheet that we're going to be working on. You're going to create three parts from a drawing that I've already given you, which you can download in the content section for Lab 12, or is also available in the downloadable course folder that you've been using all semester. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I said, you can find the downloadable Gears part file either in the Lab 12 content section of the portal. You can just download it here and open it up. Alternatively, you can just grab it from your course folder, whichever makes more sense for you. And let's go ahead and open that up. Once you have that open, you will see that there is a sketch on the front plane. And if we go over to our feature tree over here and drill into that sketch, we can see that what is inside that sketch is actually a block. And there's a couple things that we can do to work with the block. We can explode it, which makes it basically just brings the geometry to the front, and we can edit it just like a normal sketch. We can edit the block, which will make it stay in block form. You should be familiar with blocks somewhat because that is how we set up our AutoCAD title block. So if you want a refresher on the nature of blocks, go back and you can kind of skim through the AutoCAD title block creation video. Blocks in SolidWorks function very similar, if not essentially exactly the same as blocks in AutoCAD. So with that in mind, we can edit the block or explode the block to go ahead and utilize the geometry. In our case, we are going to be opening up additional sketches and then essentially converting the geometry to create the features that we're going to use. So before we go ahead and do anything in here, go ahead and close that sketch, or I'm sorry, close that part. And let's go ahead and look at our course folder. So we have our Gears part file downloaded and dropped into a folder of your choice, or you will have it in the course folder that I provided. First thing I want you to do is copy the Gears folder. So I just Control C that. You can right click and copy as well. And go into the submissions folder and Control V or right click paste. And let's rename that Gear 1. And go ahead and open Gear 1. Now, what I'd like you to do here is before we go ahead and create any actual geometry or convert anything, hold Shift and then click the up arrow so that the whole sketch is now, we're looking at it like a 2D plane, and then click the space bar. That'll bring up our view orientation menu, which you should be familiar with. And unlike in Lab 7, where we added a new view, now we're going to update the standard views. So right now, we are really looking at this in the 3D environment from the bottom. So what we want to do is update the standard views, and then it's going to ask which standard view you'd like to assign. And we're going to say the front view. And it's going to bring up a menu that's saying, hey, do you want to make this change? Click yes. And we can go ahead and close out of that. And now go ahead and click Control 7, and that will show you the isometric. So now our top plane, it still says top plane, but it is operating basically as our front plane now. So if we click Control 1, that's going to give us a front view, and we're going to be looking right at the top plane. So that's what we did when we updated our standard views. And this is just going to help position the part for what we're going to be using, how we're going to be positioning it on our drawing. So now go ahead and click Control 1, or I'm sorry, Control 5. So we're looking at it from the front plane, but really we're looking top down from our top view. Save that, and then you can keep this open. But what I'd like you to do now, after that is saved, is come back into your file and copy that before you make any actual changes in that file, any other changes. And we're going to say Gear 2, and then copy again, and it's going to be Gear 3. So now that way we don't have to do that change 3 different times. We've done it once, and then we've copied it and saved that change in all 3 of the files that we're going to be using. And from here, you know that I like to turn my planes off because I don't like to look at them. I think they're distracting. So I'm going to highlight all 3 in my Gears 1 file, and I'm going to hide those. Now, click on the front plane and open a new sketch. And from here, we are going to get our, let's do it this way. I'm going to do 3 different ways to convert this geometry to show you 3 different methods that we can use. So first things first, I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to highlight. Notice where I'm clicking, where I'm selecting. I'm going to highlight these lines just like that. And we're going to convert all the geometry that we need for the first of the 3 gears. So don't worry about this. This is going to have to be a separate feature. So it's going to be a separate sketch. For right now, we're just worried about this kind of main section of this gear, which would kind of be like the main crank on the crankshaft. And once we have everything selected, we can convert entities. Then from here, grab your line tool, and we're going to draw a line straight down the center. Just go all the way down. And now we can grab our trim tool and we're going to revolve this around this center line. So we can just trim off all of this geometry on this side. Just like that. Then select that center line, offset, and we're going to make this 0.25. And then, so it's offsetting towards the wrong direction. So let's just click reverse. There we go. And click the green check mark. You can see our dimension line is already in there, showing that it is a 1/4 inch away. And I can trim, and I'm just going to trim out all of this extra down here so that we have a single closed profile as we need, just like that. Now, we can see I accidentally deleted our dimension. So let's just go ahead just like this. Add our dimension back in. And you can see our sketch is fully defined. So now let's go to our features. You can stay in the sketch or exit the sketch, whatever you want to do. Go into your features, revolved boss base. And it will likely, it may select what you need already, but in our case, it didn't this time. So let's just select that center line. And there we go. So let's click the green check mark. And we're well on our way to our first gear. So now go ahead and click Control 5. And now we're going to work on this here. So let's open up a new sketch on the front plane. And for this one, we can select these lines and convert them and then trim, or we'll just take our rectangle tool and use our snap points here, just like that. And then we'll do our features and we'll do a revolve. And go ahead and select this center line here, because remember, we're going to revolve so that it meets, it takes up all the space for this geometry here. Just like that. Click the green check mark. And there we go. There is our first gear. Do a Control 7, and then let's go up to View, Hide and Show, and let's turn off sketches. And then let's add an appearance onto this. So go over to your appearance, scenes, and decals. Alternatively, you could do this from the appearances menu here, the display manager. And you can just right click on the color and edit appearance. And when you do that, give it a second here, it'll open up that same menu here. So what we want to do, let's go into, just go to plastics, because they have the most colors in plastics by default. So let's just go into like medium gloss and make this green medium gloss plastic. Click the green check mark. And if you want to go back over to your design tree or your feature tree, you can come over here. Oh, where is it? There we go. The little part, mine was hidden behind this menu, which I actually don't even need, but I will, let's see, I think it will be this guy. Yep, there we go. Got it away. And with that, Control 7, that'll center you in your isometric view, and Control S to save. And you can go ahead and close or keep that open, whatever you would prefer. And with that, let's go back to our file here and select Gear 2. Now, with Gear 2 open, we're going to follow a similar process, and we're going to be working with this geometry here, not this, but this kind of geometry right here. And open up a sketch on the front plane. And this time, let's just go ahead and start with our vertical line right down the center. So grab your line tool. There we go. Draw a line straight down, just like that. And then let's go ahead and offset this. So highlight that line, offset, and reverse, offset that by 0.25 inches. Click the green check mark. And from here, we can grab our line tool. And let's just go ahead and trace all of the geometry that we need. There we go. And if it doesn't feel like it's snapping, you can zoom in. If it doesn't feel like it's snapping perfectly like you would like, see like this line kind of goes away, you could see the indicator there. As I'm at that line, it's saying that the line we're drawing is vertical. It is intersecting the node, and it is snapped to that line and node at the end point there. So that's how we know. When you see as we come off after we've created that point, we can see that it is actually snapped the way that we would like it to snap. And now it took me too long to do this, so now it's kind of messed up our line. So I'm going to click Escape and grab our line tool again. Just like that. And we'll go ahead and finish. Tracing the geometry that we need. Excellent. Now we have some overlapping geometry here. Let's see if I delete that, see we have these lines that would be overlapping. So instead of deleting it, I just Control Z one time to get that back. I'm going to make this for construction, because otherwise we'd have to trim and then add a bunch of lines back in. So I'm going to make that for construction, and we can see that we have now a single closed profile. And so some of these are not fully defined, and there's a couple different reasons for that. Maybe some of the sketches aren't, some of the relationships didn't get added properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to just, that one right there, I just made it collinear to this sketch line. So I'm going to do the same thing here, just highlight our drawn line and then our background sketch. I'm going to make that collinear, and we'll click out. And there we go. Now we are fully defined. So with that, let's go into features and revolve boss base. Let's grab our center line here. Click the green check mark. And there we have it, Control 7, and we can see we have our gear correctly created. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn off my planes. And then I'm going to go to View, Hide, Show, and turn off our sketches. And then let's go into our Appearances Manager. Likely the appearances will still be here in the same medium gloss plastic section that you were in. And I'm going to make this red medium gloss plastic. And if it's not for some reason, if your appearances have gone back to the default page, then just browse back to the plastics. With that, go ahead and Control S, and we can open up our Gears 3. Now, once you have Gears 3 open, we can go ahead and follow essentially the exact same process. So we're going to open up a sketch on the front plane. And let's just do this very similar to how we did the first one. Let's go ahead and highlight, hold Control, and we can highlight these 3 lines for every gear. just like this. And we're not selecting the center line here or these lines over here because we'd be trimming them out anyways. So let's highlight all of those. When they are all highlighted, go ahead and convert entities. Grab our line tool. Or here, we could do it with a rectangle too. I'll show you that. So we can grab our rectangle tool, just like this. There is an issue doing it this way though, I'll show you. There we go. So I snap that point to the midpoint. That's gonna lock everything into place there. Let's trim. Oop, forgot to grab my trim tool. There we go. Let's go ahead and trim. And we will go ahead and trim here. Just like that. So now we had a little bit of an issue here. Doing it with the rectangle is probably not the best way. So here I'm gonna have to kind of extend and extend. And now you see none of these are constrained because we didn't have a dimension right off the bat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just Control Z this. We can just put relationships in here, make these all vertical, and then dimension 1 at 25% or 0.25. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm just gonna go all the way back and just do it the other way to show that it just ends up being much simpler. So I'm gonna grab my line tool, top to bottom, just like this. And we're also going to have an issue because with the rectangle, you have a collinear line here, which, as most of you have found out by now, SOLIDWORKS does not like that when you're creating features. So I'm going to highlight that vertical line, and I'm going to offset, reverse, so it's going the right direction, 0.25, click the green check mark, and then now we can just grab our trim tool and trim out all of the geometry that we don't need. Let's see, we need this one. Oop, there we go. We need this one. And it looks like we lost the line here. That's all right. Let's just make this point and this point. Just select both of those and let's make them coincident, or we can merge them as well. That'll work. And it looks like we also lost the line here. That's okay. Happens sometimes. Come straight up, make sure it's perpendicular. And then we can trim off this last point that we don't need. And with that, we have a fully defined sketch. And we can go ahead, grab our features tool and revolve. Click the green check mark. And let's change our appearance of this one to the yellow medium gloss plastic. Get some contrast. Turn off our planes. Go. And then let's go to view, hide and show, and we'll turn off our sketches. Control 7, Control S to save. And now we have all three of our gear files. So let's go into our gear 1, because we want to start with that. It'd be nice to have that as the first item in our assembly. Just go back to our gear 1 file and make assembly from part. We're going to click on our gear 1 and go ahead and click into, double click on the gear 1 and then go ahead and click into our assembly. There we go. It's not coming in the way that we initially anticipated, but that's okay. Turn off sketches for the assembly file. So just view, hide and show. Turn off sketches for the assembly file. This is okay that it's like this, because if we, just like we have done in the past, we can right click on the gear, float the gear, and then let's look at the planes that we have here. So we do have this centered around the top origin, or the top plane here. So let's go ahead and select the top plane, hold Control, and select the front plane of our assembly and click on Mate. There we go. Give it a second. We can lock that into place. And then let's do the same thing Let's see. So let's see, we've got a top plane here and we've got the front plane, because remember we had reassociated, we want this to be kind of vertical. It was not drawn. This is just an example of what happens if something is not drawn in the correct planes for how you want to position something into an assembly. This just shows both at the part side and in the assembly side how you can adjust that later. So we're going to mate the top plane of the assembly with the front plane of the gear 1. Just like that. Give it a second. There we go. And then last but not least, the right plane of the assembly with the right plane actually is the correct plane for the gear. Let's go ahead and mate. Give it just a moment and click the green check mark. And with that, you will find that this gear is totally fixed in space and does not move. So I'm going to click Control-7, insert components, and I'm going to grab my gear 2. All right. So now this is also not coming in the way that we intended. That's all right. Let's go ahead and rotate that component. Put the big side towards the back. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to mate this face and this face so that they are coincident to each other. And then we're going to take this edge, and those are going to be tangent. Just like that. And then just for the sake, to make this look as much like the drawing as we can, I'm just going to kind of drag this up so that it's kind of like above, just like that. And from here, let's get out of our mate tool, insert components. And last but not least, let's grab gear 3. Now, I'm not going to rotate this one. Let's just go ahead and mate it the way we want it. So let's say, I'm going to say this face here, because we want this little nub sticking out towards the front. So I'm going to say this center face is going to be coincident with the center face of the small little gear here. Let's say mate. Now, it has mated these two parts opposite of the way we want. So let's just change the mate alignment just like this. There we go. It flips it around. And then similar to what we did just before, both of these edges, they are not going to be concentric. They're going to be tangent. Just like that. Go ahead and click Control-7, and you can see that our gear looks pretty much exactly like it does in the drawing. And with that, you can kind of play around with it if you want. I'd like it to try to kind of be in this configuration, just like this. Control-7 to center the view, and Control-S to save the assembly. So when the assembly menu comes up, or when the save menu comes up in the submissions folder, this can be just lab 12 all dash your initials. So mine are WRM. And then once that saves, we're going to be able to drop that into a drawing. So make a drawing from assembly. Select the CAD 154 title block. And then we can come into our view palette if it's already open. If it's not already open, come into drawing, model view. And then if it's already open, it will be here in this part/assembly to insert. If it's not, you'll have to browse. Mine is, so I'm just going to double click on the assembly, place it right there in the center, click escape once or twice, and then we're going to have to hide our sketches here. Let's go to view, hide show, and hide those sketches. Then let's click on your view, and let's make this shaded with edges. And then down in your master sheet scale here, let's just make this 1:2. And there you have it. Last but not least, go ahead and edit your title block. Remember, just kind of right click, edit sheet format, change the name, the class date, or I'm sorry, the class and the date, and your final submission PDF should look just like this. Save it with lab 12 space parentheses ALL and parentheses dash and your initials. With that, that is everything for lab 12, and I will see you in the next one.